Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable. Stephanie is asking me if we had some technical difficulties. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. As you noticed, the crawler was going across the stream before I even started the show. And so, yeah, just a little bit. But we're on it now. We're on it now. So welcome to the Spiritual Roundtable. I'm your host, Neshi Lokotz, and we are live streaming from Star Nations Academy. Yeah, this building, the physical building is just west of my house, a good country block. And I come up here to do the live streams because it's quieter. Many times my house is a little bit like Grand Central Station. It gets kind of loud there. But today, Tuesdays are usually very busy days here. For Star Nations, we have 3 shows on Tuesdays, sometimes 4. And so Tuesdays can get kind of very busy. And then when we have little technical glitches like we did this morning, just a minute ago, it always kind of gets you a little off your, yeah, that's why we need to be grounded, right? Yeah. So I was looking at the studio thinking, something looks different. What is that? Yeah, the broadcast button was not the right color, and I was trying to figure out what in the heck's going on with it. So anyway, we're here and we're ready to roll with to have a spiritual conversation, right? Before we launch into that, I'm going to take my phone and we are going to spread the information out to different groups and different areas. So here, I'm going to show you something that Stephanie came up with the other day, because I was looking at trying to figure out what's the best way to say this, right? And because we're trying not to use, or I'm trying not to use the SHARE word. Because it's actually kind of gotten to be very watered down on Facebook. And so Facebook is really wanting us to do something a little bit different. And I've been doing this for over a year, probably close to 2 years. And so it's like breaking a bad habit, man. And so we're calling it seeding the light. Seeding the light. In other words, seed the light on your own news feed. Send it to a friend in Messenger. Is to spread the word, right? And so I'm going to do the same thing right here. I'm going to use my phone, and I'm going to send it over to the broadcast, over to my newsfeed, so that those friends of mine get a reminder that I'm live streaming. And then I will ask them if they want to come out and play in the live chat. And there we go. There we go. Oh my goodness. You know how the time shows up in many different places, right? And when I just hit the send button to post it, the time appeared and it was 333. 333. And for me, that is all about the Ascended Masters and communication with them. So I need to be able to sit down and do some channel writing with them. Hey, Rob. Yep, we got started just a minute or two later than usual. I'm so glad you guys noticed that, though, huh? Hi, Julie. And Stephanie is saying happy dance. Me too. You happy dancing too, Rob? That'd be something to see, eh? Doing a jig. Sorry. Gosh, allergies, right? And I keep forgetting to take my over-the-counter allergy medication. I get busy and I forget to do it. I see Stephanie's been busy. She's been loading up and putting out there all the good stuff that we're down at Star Nations, all the classes and magazines and shows. Facebook told you that? Well, not directly. Not directly. I was in a mastermind group. I think it was 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about how the data gets shared differently coming from Facebook. They don't do insight anymore. It's in the Creative Studio or something like that. So in that last update they did, Facebook, they changed the logarithms again. Just when we get it, to understand it and start to really to work with it, they put a change in, and it kind of keeps you on your toes. And so, yeah, one of the things that came out of that mastermind group was we're talking about how, how we share tags and that sort of thing, and that using and asking our audiences to share and like has become so watered down and so rote that many times what happens is that Facebook looks for those words, right? And what they do is they don't put you in the feed as often. And so in the old days, it was because we were using those words and that request that we would show up in the feed much more often. And now it's flipped. It's like 180. And so that's why we're kind of having fun with trying to figure out how to say this without saying it, right? Yeah. All right. I'm scrolling in the chat and making sure I don't miss any of the what you guys are saying in the comments. Yeah, here we go. We're at the top. Yay. Stephanie is saying Facebook is grumbling on me logging in from my phone at SN. Oh, well, see, yeah, as Star Nations, right. I know. And, the thing is that they give us that functionality, to be able to do that so that we can, our staff, businesses, their staff can go in and do the work that needs to get done as social media. And yet we run into this too. I tell you what, it's all about communication, isn't it? I think so. Okay, so let's get started with the cards. We're still using this deck, the Spirit of the Wheel, a meditation deck by Linda Iwashina, and the illustrator's name is Jody Bergsma. And I have to say, I really like this deck. I bought it years and years ago. I think the copyright is 2006. And the only time I ever really used it was during drum making workshops, because we do a card draw in that class, and I have a whole bunch of decks, right? And so that was the only time we ever really used them. And although I'm really liking the energy in these cards and especially the artwork. Spirit of the Wheel. Yeah, I haven't gotten a nudge yet from my spiritual team to pick a different deck. So we're going to keep going with this one until I get the high sign from my team to do a switch. All right. So the first card. Oh my gosh, really, Rochelle? Yeah, she says, hi, Rochelle, by the way. I had a hard time reaching you, found you. Yeah, the first couple of minutes we were having a little difficulty getting started. And so, that maybe that had something to do with it. Honestly, I think we have some stuff going on with the eclipse energy, to tell you the truth. Because I've been feeling the energy different for the last couple of days, and then especially today. Yeah, and it's just been, checking to make sure you're grounded is a good thing, right? To be grounded is a good thing, because this eclipse is bringing in some energies that is going to be very useful to us. And so, to be grounded. So if you haven't done your grounding today, it'd be a good time to do it. Just pause just for a moment and do your grounding method or technique, and to be able to have a little bit easier time with the energy that's flowing today. There's the last couple of days, and I realize that I work a lot. I know that between Mom, George, and Star Nations, and we have to throw Paul in there every once in a while too. I generally get about 6 hours sleep, and so I'm tired a lot of the time, right? And I try to catch a nap when I can. But the last couple of days, it was like I couldn't keep my eyes open. I'd fall asleep. I fell asleep with my laptop on my lap as I was trying to get caught up with email. So that was, I think, Sunday. I think that was Sunday. So I don't know if you guys are feeling anything differently, having any challenges with the energy that's flowing today, the last couple of days, but yeah. And I was saying is checking to make sure that you're grounded, right? If you're using a grounding technique, it usually lasts about 12 hours, depending on what you've ingested. Okay. And with this kind of energy that's flowing, because it's pretty strong, with the energy that's flowing, you want to check in periodically. If you're ever feeling kind of spacey or, hard to concentrate, feel wobbly, just to check in, and if you need to reground. What I had to do with my Merkaba was to check in to see if there's anything that I needed to remove as programming or to add as programming. Or to extend the pranic tube, those kinds of things. And what I ended up having to do was to extend my tube just a bit, not like, just a bit. And so things calmed down. We're a little bit more at an even keel. And so you just want to check in with yourself to see what you need to do that's differently, right? Read that one. Thanks, Rochelle. Yeah, Rochelle said she's grounded. Yay, grounding and alone wasn't sufficient. Oh, yeah, see? What else did you use, Rob? Yes, but I was able to counter. But if you ingest McChicken, it'll be less. That's for sure. So what else did you use in combination with your grounding, Rob? Because we learn from each other, right? We do know that something that Polly Jo has been sharing for the last, couple of months is that is to focus on your heart chakra and the grounding. So you're grounding from your heart chakra to Grandmother Earth's heart. So you're going heart to heart. And that has been very, very helpful to a lot of people. So if you're working with that. And Julie said she's grounded. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for letting us know. All right. So here is the first card that came. We've had this one before. Trust. Trust is the path, the spirit path of the South. It's the 36th stone in the layout, which is a 9. It's about completion, right? And we have, it looks like golden eagle to me. It doesn't look like a condor. It looks like a golden eagle to me. But then again, it also has a very South American kind of feeling to it, doesn't it? It's like that's a butterfly down at the bottom. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Yeah, the galactic butterfly. It's about personal space, openness, and faith. Trust. And we've had this card several times. So what is it? What is Spirit trying to share with us about trust, right? What's the message around that word trust? And we do know that when our trust has been violated, when our trust has been chipped away, in our relationships, right? With ourselves and with others, trust. And so if you've ever been through any kind of abusive situation, your trust level goes way down, right? And across the board, that includes yourself. So many times we mistrust our decision making. We mistrust our intuition, right? And so many times what we have to do is look at what happened. What happened for that trust to erode? Where did it start to break down? And we have to ask ourselves those questions, right? To be able to get to the root of what needs to be healed. What needs to be healed and then released, so that you can make room, energetic room in your life for that trust to rebuild, right? Yeah. All right. Rob is saying, I had to use some shielding. It was an attack from an individual. Okay. So that's actually, it's probably a good thing that you were able to tell that. You could sense that, right? And so grounding and being centered is one thing. Being protected is another. And so many times you should be able to bring them together at the same time. So when you're doing your grounding, doing your protection at the same time, whether or not you feel like you're being attacked, to be able to make it a part of your day, to be able to do that both morning and night, so that in your dream time, you don't have to, your mental mind doesn't have to worry about what you're going to encounter and if you're going to be safe. Yeah. Rob says it was at work and just the guys playing around, so nothing too bad, just shielding. Yeah. And when our shields are up, when our protection is up, we can relax, right? Or we can relax in our other bodies because we're protected. And I think that kind of goes hand in hand with the trust, to tell you the truth. Stephanie said, grounded, seed sown, and flying. That's good. That's good. And so, Rob, I'm glad you shared that, because I think that does go hand in hand with the trust. Yeah, not so much, maybe trusting others, although that is part of it. The trust really starts with ourselves, to trust us, right? Ourselves. To trust our intuition, to trust that guidance, to trust our spiritual team, to trust the Creator. And so if you're feeling like you don't have a lot of trust, whether it's in yourself or others, that's where the next layer of work needs to be, right? Yeah. And so this is what the author says about this particular card. She says, each of us has an area around us we consider to be personal space. Unfortunately, as long as we have our armor on, then we can never fully love. And so whenever we've had those emotional, mental traumas, if we've ever been in an abusive situation or anything like that, we tend to self-protect, right? We tend to build those walls around our heart. And so that it's like a coping mechanism, right? To be able to guard against being hurt. And I think that it's a really natural human response to being hurt. Hi, Jocelyn. Good to have you here. And so this is what the author is talking about. This is what the author is talking about in trust, is to be able to heal what needs to be healed, so that you can let that armor down, so you can begin to receive love and to give love in a balanced, even flow. Because we were made, right? As two-leggeds, we were made to receive and to give love. We weren't meant to be alone and shutting that emotion down. It's a part of us. It's a part of our GPS system, right? Our guidance system. It's a part of our emotions, our feelings. And so when we have shut that part of us down, or we have um, those shields up in place around our hearts, that is meant out of fear. Yeah. So then we're not fully engaged, right? We're not fully engaged. All right. So she goes on to say that now is the time to surrender and release your doubts and anxieties to a higher purpose. If we can have faith and trust in the Creator's greater plan, then we can begin the process of healing our wounds and gently, over time, expose our true selves to others. Look at the area of your life where you are holding yourself back due to mistrust. Take the first step by learning to love and accept yourself for who you really are. And so your work to rebuild trust or to gain trust is really to begin with yourself first. Right? So if you ask yourself that question, right, where in your life do you have you been holding back your trust? Because that will tell you where you need to start work for yourself. Rob says, I wasn't sure who, but a shielding bounces it back so you find out. The key to this was to trusting myself and trusting everything was in the proper measure. Right. Yeah. And sometimes it's about our learning about our gifts and learning about our tools, right? Yeah. This shielding that they're talking about, this armor that that the author is talking about, is the kind that the walls that we build up around our heart, so that we don't experience emotional pain. That no one can hurt us. I can put that in quotes. When our walls are erected around our heart, right? Thing is that when we create those walls around our heart, so that others can't hurt us, we also prevent love from others flowing in, and also our love flowing out. Yeah, it gets kind of dammed up, and eventually something's got to give. If you have that much pressure building, energy building, something's got to give. And so many times it will come out in the form of a physical situation, like, heart failure, heart attacks. It's about having a broken heart, right? Yeah. And so in order not to have the kind of situation happen in the physical, is to be able to begin searching for where is it that I mistrust, and what do I have to identify to heal and to work, right? To do that work, that healing work around it. And that's when your team really comes into play, right? So that you can have your team on board, your spiritual team, and asking them, who is the best healer for me to work with for the optimum, and to bring me the resources that I need to do that. in all ways, right? Both sometimes you have to find somebody to take care of family so that you can go to a healing retreat weekend, or to just even to get the appointment with a healer, right? The finances to pay for it, because there should be an energy exchange of some sort. Yeah. And so your team is very much involved with it, very much involved with it. Yeah. Yeah. Rob's saying, trusting myself, trusting my soul. Exactly. Exactly. And many times, because it is a life lesson. It's about gaining that wisdom around it, right? So we have to have the experience to gain the wisdom. And so many times your spiritual team will bring around the opportunity to be able to address the situation. They need to bring it to your conscious mind, right? In order for it to be dealt with, for you to be able to actually sense it, see it. And so sometimes, and we all know this one, they'll bring it around and it's like, oh no, I'm not going there. I'm not going to deal with that one. I'm not going to look. Can't make me look. Don't ask me. I don't know. Something's not right, they say. Well, there. Jeez Louise. Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened because I noticed on my phone the video had stopped. It was like, black screen. And I'm going, what? Because the studio was fine. And then my studio dropped. Okay. It's one of those technology days. Here's the prayer. Here's the prayer for trust. Help me, Creator, to surrender to the light of your love. Once I learn to love and value myself, I will be willing to accept into my life only that which is for my highest good. I'm going to say that again. Help me, Creator, to surrender to the light of your love. Once I learn to love and value myself, I will be willing to accept into my life only that which is for my highest good. So it's all about trusting ourselves. Even though on the surface it may look like it's mistrust of others, right? Yeah. Rob's going, what happened? I don't know. I think honestly, it could be the eclipse energy, but it also could be live because of they're literally supporting two platforms, the original, which is I'm still using, and then Studio 2. Okay, so that could be the reason. That's my sense anyway. Hey, Mervin's here. Hello, Mervin. Good evening to you too. Good to have you here. Good to see you in the chat always. And so that was the first card. It's about trust. And I think because we've had this card a couple of times now, or a few times. So the feeling I have about this is that Spirit is wanting us to really take a look at that trust level, that trust, and ask yourself the question, is that what areas of your life are you holding yourself back due to mistrust? Because that's an indicator of what part of yourself don't you trust. Okay. And then you can focus on that and start healing around it. What is it? Where's the root of it? And go to the root. Right? Yeah. All right. So the second card that came, taking a look at the time, we'll get plenty of time. All right. So here's the second card. The second card always supports the first one. And this one's about growth. It's the spirit path of the self. And it's about the horses. And whenever I see a horse, I always think of freedom of movement, right? And this card is all about the opportunity, acceptance, and gateway. It's the 35th stone in the medicine wheel, which is an 8, sign of the creator, about the balance of giving and receiving. The balance of giving and receiving love, right? So the author says, is standing at the gateway to a new cycle within your life. You are frozen by the fear of what lies ahead. Now, a great opportunity for a new beginning awaits you. Bring unity back into your life so you can move beyond your fears and focus on your future goals. Okay? So you're literally standing in the doorway, right? You know, you can't go backward, and needing to move forward, and you've stopped because of fear of the unknown. And we may be able to link that back to the mistrust, right? Trusting. That when we're able to trust in the Creator, in the great mystery, trust in ourselves, our confidence is so much higher, and that we can literally step through the gateway. It says, prepare yourself for nurturing the growth occurring within you. Start by forgiving yourself and understanding that all of our experiences make us stronger. Growth is about taking responsibility for your life and moving beyond your fears and limitations to a greater sense of self. So it goes back to trust. Accepting our innate abilities and our potentials as gifts from the Creator helps us to realize that our fears are really only attachments of our ego, not our true self. We then begin to use our talents to be of a greater service to the world. That's interesting, isn't it? Growth. Spirit path of the South. You know, they talk about our fear, right? So where's the fear around trust? In those areas of our life where we have mistrust, right? And if we can take some time to reflect on it back to ourselves and say, okay, where is that in me? I wonder if that wouldn't also be connected to control. If we control as much as possible around a situation or event or a part of our lives where love is part of the equation, right? The giving and receiving of love. That if we think we can control it, the hurt, the emotional hurt, right? And so we build those walls around our heart to prevent being hurt. And it maybe when it first occurred, that was a natural occurrence to try to defend yourself, right? to try to protect yourself. And then in our human mind, we generalize it, and it gets attached to a lot of other things. And so before you know it, you have this full-blown brick wall around your heart, and you are cutting off the flow of the balance of giving and receiving. Right? And so the work around trust begins with ourselves. How do we trust ourselves to allow love to come in and for us to give love? I think that's what it feels that's what this is about. It's about trusting. That when we trust ourselves, we have the ability to take those opportunities. We can step through those gateways to those opportunities, which means that it's about growth, right? That soul growth. We can learn how to accept love. We can even accept ourselves. Yeah. Kind of like that. It feels like that's the right path. Yeah, when we're working on healing around whatever that original hurt was, where you began to erect that wall around your heart. Since we built it, we can take it down brick by brick. And it doesn't necessarily have to be brick by brick. It could be section by section, layer by layer. Because each time that we do a healing, right, around that, more and more will come down. And it would be like seeing or sensing your world with clearer vision, with clarity. Allowing love to come to you. Yeah. And perhaps it's also trusting those that are closest to you. Your inner circle, whoever those two-leggeds are in your inner circle. And if you don't have one, why not? Why don't you have one? That's something I learned from my mom and from my mother-in-law. Yeah. And they both had a similar belief, is that I can just hear them. I don't do coffee clutch. Never did the coffee clutch thing. Didn't really get to know my neighbors very well. I knew who they were. We could talk, we could stand, but we weren't close. Never had any real friends. Yeah. And I know that both ladies had been through a great deal when they were very young. And so I know, they had to survive some pretty harsh things. But, when I look at them in their elder years and they don't have that inner circle, they don't have those friends around them, and so when I see that, and I sat back and I looked at it, and I thought, you know what? I don't want my life to be like that, and so I started nurturing relationships the best way that I could. And that's how I ended up with an inner circle of 5 women who it started out as to talk about a book that we read. Serpent of the Light by Drunvalo Melchizedek. I had already read it, and two people wanted to ask me about it, and I thought, I don't want to have two separate conversations. Can we do a conference call or something and just have one conversation about it? And that's how that started, right? And that was almost more than 10 years ago. No, maybe 12 years ago. And that turned into a very close group of people that we know that we're there for each other. It's our inner circle. And of course, Paul's a part of that too, my inner circle. But I trust these women so much, right? And so if you don't have an inner circle, that's another good question to ask yourself. Why don't I? What's there? Yeah. But it all leads to growth. No matter how you look at it for yourself, right? It leads to growth. So here, I'm going to show you the two cards together. Okay. Get ready. Make sure you take a nice deep breath in. And as you look at the cards, right, is to ask your team to help you to bring in all of the information that's meant for you through these cards in all of your senses and all the ways to take in information, right? So you're seeing it with your physical eyes, but you're taking in also the unseen, right? So we started with trust. And it was about personal space and how we allow others into our personal space. And that when we've been had an experience of any kind of abuse or somebody hurting us emotionally or physically, mentally, spiritually, we tend to guard ourselves. And so we begin to build that wall around our hearts. And so we literally cut off the flow, the balanced flow of giving and receiving love. And when we can go to the root of that and heal that and release that so that we begin to trust ourselves, trust in the Creator, the great mystery, then we have soul growth. We have more confidence. And that we can take advantage of those opportunities that we're right in the doorway, ready to take that step. That we faced some fears. And healed them. Right? Yeah. So it's all about soul growth, right? And remember, we talked about those life lessons a few days ago. Last week, was it, right? Last week. And about taking a different approach to them, a different way of looking at them, perception. It was a shift of consciousness is what it was called. Is that we know that we've all, in order for us to even be here, our soul contract was stamped and approved. It was blessed for us to be here. And within that soul contract, it lies all of our experiences that our soul wanted to have while in a physical body here in the school called Earth, right? So dealing with all the duality and all of that. That if we can look at our life lessons, is where we have the experience to use our gifts, to do a bunch of healing and a bunch of releasing, that when we're through that experience, we've gained some wisdom, we've gained soul growth, right? And if we can shift the way that we perceive life lessons, it's so much easier to get through, because we already know that we're going to go through something like this. We've already planned it out, right? So here's our chance. Here's that opportunity to use the information coming from a card draw days ago to be able to take a look at this one and say, okay, where is it that I mistrust in my life? In what area? Let's get to the root of it, learn the life lesson around it to gain that wisdom, right? Because that's the important piece, is the wisdom gained, not so much the fear that you're in, or the all the story around the emotional trauma, right? Because sometimes we get stuck in that story, like it's the only piece that's important. When I'm not saying it's not, but it's not as important as the wisdom that we gain by going through the experience of healing it, understanding it, right? Yeah, it's a good one. So how many people in the live chat, let me ask this question. How many people feel that they are needing to address a mistrust, a trust thing in their life? Yeah. I think, because we're human, we probably all have some aspect of that. Some bigger than others. Yeah. And sometimes I wonder if we get that from our parents too. That they pass their fears on to us somehow. Don't you think? I have my mom has this fear about nursing homes, because she's only seen bad things happen in nursing homes. And so now she's at this age, right? And she has this huge fear around it, which then goes on to having a fear of someone else taking care of her other than family, right? And so we're dealing with that right now. And who can you trust? Who can you trust to even have in your home when you're not there, that you don't even really know them? And so there's something to that, right? There's something to that. Let's see. I'm going to get caught up with everybody in the chat. Let's see. Rob is saying, all in all, it's just another brick in the wall. Yeah, that's how it got built, right? And he also said we have to be able to trust our ability to defend ourselves. Well, yes, we do. I think that there's also something to that. But from what point in the defense? Is it out of fear? If it's out of fear, then I think it's out of balance. I'm testing that one right now. When we're defending ourselves, there'll always be an aspect of fear. But it shouldn't take us completely out of balance with the protection. Yeah. See, okay. So when we don't address and deal with the initial hurt, and to heal whatever that was that occurred, then it perpetuates itself, right? In our mental mind or human mind, it expands and it grows. And so then we're building more and more of the brick wall, right? Yeah. Not me. Oh, Jocelyn says, something is wrong. I keep getting you repeating. Really? Oh my goodness. There's a technical issue going on today. That's for sure. Well, Jocelyn, maybe, and we're right at the top of the hour, maybe it was refreshing your screen, might help. I do have to say that we've had some technical difficulty today. We'll blame it on the eclipse, okay? Yeah. It's a very interesting, I think, very interesting card draw today, because it made me stop and kind of reflect and think about, okay, so where do I mistrust? And my first one came up with, bringing in additional help with my mom into the home, which is a good thing all the way around, really. I see that, I sense that. But then in comes this, but I don't know them. I don't know who they are. How are they going to treat my mom okay? Are they going to treat my home okay? And so the mental mind starts to do its thing, right? Yeah. So weird. All right. So Sally's saying, I think defending ourselves can simply be having good boundaries. Oh, I think you're right. And then setting those boundaries, we've learned that when we set boundaries out of fear, it takes a lot of our energy to keep those boundaries in place. If we can find a good way to set those boundaries, a boundary with love and out of love, that it's a much stronger boundary. Right? Julie's saying, many of my friendships have ended in imbalance where I felt more dedicated to the relationship than the other person. Oh, yeah, that's a good one too. Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens when we outgrow each other, right? Yeah. There's some relationships I know that can last decades, right? Decades. And there's others that are only here for a short time. And sometimes those are the hardest ones to deal with, right? To let them go, so that you can grow, really. Jocelyn's saying, I've tried that over and over. It's better now. Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry about that, Jocelyn. If I could have my magic wand to do that, I don't understand. Well, like I said, I think it's Be Live this time around. I do. Because they're running two platforms at the same time. And Jocelyn says, I feel as Julie said. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's not easy when you have people walk out of your life and you don't know why. Right? It's hard to take. It's hard to take. Especially when it happens over and over and over again, and you think, I'm the common denominator here. what is this about? Yeah. But it also gives us an opportunity to do that reflection, right? To ask that question. What is it? What's my role in this? What's my part in this? What am I supposed to be seeing or learning from this? Is it something that needs to be healed? Right? Yeah. A lot of questions. Rob is saying boundaries are meaningless if not defended. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. Because if a boundary is if you have a healthy boundary and you created it because of in a loving way, not out of fear, that your personal energy isn't taken up by keeping it in place. Right? Because then you're drawing on the universal energy, creator energy, for that to be held in place and not your physical. So, and I guess in some way you could say the creator is the one that is defending it, right? I don't know. I have to think about that one a bit, Rob. Yeah, because there's something not. Because whenever you have to rely on a defense, right? That to me, that something's out of balance. Something's out of balance. And Julie is saying most have been short term. Yeah. Well, maybe what they brought into your life, they were there for what needed to be done and then gone, right? It's still hard to take though. Justin says, I gave 100% to a certain friend when I needed her the most. She ignored and shut me out. Oh, I know that one. Got a personal experience with that one. Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of those relationships where I think that we were meant to learn about what's it like to be in a narcissistic relationship and what part of that could we have walked away from at a certain point and we didn't. Right. And so then it goes back to what's my side of the street? What was I supposed to learn from that? That is simply another means of defense. I think I'm hung up on the word defense. I think that's my problem, Rob. I do. Jocelyn says, when I confronted her, she denied it and we were never right again. Yeah, I can see that. Yep. It was pretty much my experience too. Yeah. Or, she never said anything and then all of a sudden she has all these complaints. And it's like, that happened like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, and you never said anything? Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. That, it's a challenge when we're addressing mistrust, right? And what Spirit's saying today is that it's about is looking within ourselves and what part of that is mistrust is coming from us. What is it at the root that we need to take a look at to heal it, to release it? And my team was saying, try not to get caught up in the story of the emotional trauma, because that's not where the gift lies. That's not where the gem lies. It's in the gaining of the wisdom. It's in the wisdom that's the gift. Yeah. So it's taking that big, deep breath in and saying, okay, what's my part in this? What do I have to look at? Yeah. Because if it's coming to the surface, it's you're ready. You have everything that you need to face it. Everything. And it's our choice to take that opportunity to look at it and to deal with it, or to push it back down or to push it away and say, I'm not ready yet. But it'll come back around. It'll come back around in another form, in another way. Different players, same script. Until you're ready to look at it. But see, that's why I think that we need our inner circle. Those people that we could rely on, right? And perhaps, for those of us that experience the things that Jocelyn and Julie were talking about, obviously that person wasn't meant to be a part of your inner circle. Because those in your inner circle, when you have something come to the surface that there's a friction about, that you can actually sit down and talk about it and actually state your fears around it. So I'm afraid that if I say this, it's going to hurt your feelings, or you're going to get angry. because we're human. Of course it's going to happen. But to be able to sit down and talk about it and talk it through, rather than and when calling them on it when they do deny it, which doesn't happen all that often, but to be that supportive role, right? Yeah. Maybe that's what we need to do, is do another show about how you cultivate and nurture positive relationships, and so that you can build your inner circle, right? Create that inner circle. It'd be a good tool. All right, we're past the top of the hour. But anything and everything that we shared today, if it resonated with you, my suggestion is to embrace it, and then watch and see how today's energy unfolds for you, and where this might be helpful, right? And if it didn't resonate, that's okay. That's all right. Don't worry about it. No worries. There's always tomorrow. There's always tomorrow's cards. And inviting you to join me this evening for my evening weekly show, and that is Communications from Home. I have a special guest tonight. Julie Hedges is joining me. Julie Hedges is one of our live stream show hosts of the Tarot Journey. She's a contributing writer for the magazine, Star Nations magazine, for the Tarot Journey is the name of her column. But she is also our very first author that we published here at Star Nations Publishing. And she's coming on with me to help us understand the energies of the eclipse, and the opportunities we can tap into, and how to best ride that wave of energy. Yeah. So hopefully you can join us 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here at Star Nation's main fan page. And then there's tomorrow night, which is Soul Connections with Polly Jo LeBay. That's all about healing divine messages. If you're working on mistrust, if you're working on taking down that brick wall around your heart, you might want to join Polly Jo on Wednesday night and bring that intention with you to the healing portion of that show. And you can start, right? It's a place to start. Yeah, I think that's it. It's enough, right? All right. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we'll see you back here for Communications from Home at 8 p.m. All right. Ba Mina. That means until we see each other again in Potawatomi. Love you guys.